Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 4 of the January reset. We are well on our way here to creating the life and career of your dreams. And I am just so excited to be here with you. So we'll wait for just a minute to let folks get on to the live stream and then we'll jump right in. All right. So day 4 of the January reset is all about action and planning, which I know you probably love and have been waiting for. So I am excited to share this with you. Um, if you are just tuning in and you haven't been here all week, real quick, I want to just tell you about the January reset. This is something that I love doing. I do this every year. And this year I'm doing it on live streams as well as on my podcast to make sure I can share it with everybody. But it is really for us to take an opportunity to check in, to stop for just a minute running through our lives and going, and just check in with ourselves and see what's going on. Am I in the career I want to be in? Am I in the place I want to be in? Am I in the life I want to be in? And what life do I want to be in? And then to create that life and that career and just make sure that we're on track. Because if we never take the time to stop and check in with ourselves, then we're going to get to the end of our lives and realize, like, what just happened? I didn't actually get to do all the things I wanted to do. I didn't actually live the way that I wanted to live. And I want to try to invite everyone to make sure that we can avoid that, to make sure that we get to live the lives we want to live today on purpose, because all we've got is time in this one and only precious life. And so I want to make sure that you are enjoying it, that you are living the way that you want to, that you're creating the things that you want to create. And so that is what the January reset is for. That is what we are here to do. So let's dive right in. You are in the right place today. If you are a high achiever, if you are one of those people who is always succeeding and achieving, climbing the ladder, going for it, and just nailing it most of the time, if not every time. You have a desire for change. So you might want something different or something more for your life, for yourself, or your career. I think a lot of times, especially for high achievers, it's like we just get on this ladder and we're just like climbing and climbing and climbing. And then at some point, whether that's when we have kids, whether that's when we lose a loved one, or whether that's when we hit a certain age, or we just wake up one morning and say, what am I doing? Is this the right ladder that I want to be on? Is this the way that I want to do this? Is this the pace that I want to continue going? And what am I even doing this for? And I think a lot of that happens because we don't usually take the time to stop and check in with ourselves. So you might have a desire for change. You know how to plan at work because obviously you're very successful at work, but you might struggle with creating a life plan, whether that's because you've just never taken the time to do it, you've never thought of it because it's not something that our society really talks about so much as it says, like, get back to work and keep going and keep pushing forward. But you're really great at planning at work, but maybe haven't spent as much time kind of planning and thinking intentionally about what you want to create in your life. And you don't always make the change. So when you do have that desire for change and you maybe even make a plan, sometimes you get so excited for your plan, but then you don't always follow through in all the way and kind of make the changes actually happen or make the changes stick and make them sustainable. So I think that happens a lot with like New Year's resolutions where we're like so excited to make a change. And so, we get really built up about that and we get on the bandwagon, and then at some point we kind of fall off. And so that change is not a lasting change. It's just a temporary change that we made for January and maybe February. So if any of that describes you, then you're in the right place. I'm Leanna, and if you've been here with me for the last 4 days, then you know a little bit about me. But I will tell you, my goal in life is to help more people, specifically women and moms who are leaders at work and who are leading at home, to really make sure that you are living the life that you want to live, that you're in the career that you want to be in, and that you're getting fulfillment out of all of it. And you're getting to actually enjoy your life. That whenever you have everything looking good on paper, that what's happening inside is matching up and that you're getting to enjoy that too. So that's a little bit about me and my goal for you. And what you're going to walk away with this week is really more clarity. And hopefully, so far, if you've been following along and doing the exercises, you should have a lot more clarity about what you want, about what's most important to you, a clear vision for the year ahead and for the future beyond the year ahead. And then what we're going to work on today is a plan for how to get there and also what to do when obstacles present. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow as well. All right. So I am offering everyone who is a part of the January reset the opportunity to have a one on one vision call with me. And so this is where we spend an hour to really dive in further and get some feedback and just kind of have a work session together, figuring out where are you now and where do you want to be and how are you going to get there and what are you going to do in 2025 toward those goals. I think it is so, so helpful whenever you have a second set of eyes and another person just to bounce these ideas off of and to ask the questions that are going to help you to really get more clarity and really get more solid in what you want your plan to be, what your vision is, and just make it more solidified for you. So I invite you to this vision call. Everybody who is watching this is invited. Everyone who's listening to the podcast later is invited. There's a QR code on the screen, or if you're on the podcast, it's in the show notes. And you can schedule this anytime in January for this 1 hour complimentary, no obligation vision call. So I hope to see you there. So here is where we are in our week so far. So far, what we did on day one is we took stock and we asked the question, where are you now? On day two, it was create your vision. And we asked the question, where would you like to be? And then yesterday on day three, we identified barriers. And the question was, what's been stopping you? What's been stopping you from getting from where you are now to where you would like to be? And now, today, we're going to ask the question, what are you going to do about it? Now it's time to get into action and planning. So, really, two reasons why we ask that question is first of all, what are you going to do about making your dreams come true and living into your vision? What are you going to do about it? Let's make a plan. And also, what are we going to do about the obstacles that have been holding you back? Whatever it is that's been holding you back, whether it's been thoughts, whether it's been different circumstances that you need to make changes in, whatever that is. So, we are going to talk about all of that today. And we're going to start with really making that plan. So, setting goals that really kind of move you toward your vision. So that's what we're going to do today is kind of look at those areas that you would like to change. And the question is just what feels right to change in 2025. There's no need to overthink it, but just ask yourself, what are 2 or 3 things that I can do this year that are going to move me closer to my vision? And I do recommend setting 2 or 3, even 1 to 3 bigger goals for the year because you can always add a new one once you achieve one. But whenever we add too many, whenever we're like, I want to do this and I want to change this and I want to add this and, all these things, and we try to do it all at once, then what happens is we dilute our focus. The purpose of having these bigger goals is to kind of give us a North Star so that we can make decisions about how we spend our time and make sure that we are in alignment with them. And if we do too many, it's just it's just too hard to do that. It's kind of like KPIs at work. You don't want to have like 10 to 20 KPIs on a team, right? Because it's going to confuse them about what they're supposed to be prioritizing and focusing on. The fewer KPIs you have, the more likely you are to actually achieve them because you are going to be laser focused on making sure that that's what you're doing every single day. So, 2 to 3 goals max. You want these goals to be stretch goals, but possible. So they should feel hard. They should feel like a reach, but also possible. So, for example, if you, let's say that you have a goal of being a neurosurgeon and you want to set your goal for 2025 to do your first operation, but you haven't started medical school yet. That's probably not a possible goal for 2025, right? We want to add a stretch goal, but we also want to make sure that it is possible within the year. And when I say that with a caveat because a lot of times our brains will tell us that, nothing is possible because, like we talked about yesterday, our brain wants to keep us safe, wants to keep us in the cave, it wants to keep us from changing. And so when I'm saying possible, I mean like really like it is not possible to operate this year yet, right? That would be not legally. And so that is what I mean by possible. So it should be stretch goals, but measurable. SMART goals, I'm sure we all know what SMART goals are: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Naturally, it's time bound because we have 2025. We want to make sure that it is clear, that it is achievable, that it's relevant in terms of our vision. We want to make sure that these goals are getting us closer toward our vision. And also, measurable. Did I achieve it or not? Excuse me. Also, it should challenge you without overwhelming you. I think that the goals that we set for the year should feel definitely like a challenge, but not so much that it shuts us down. Not so much that we're like, oh, it's just too much and it's overwhelming and I already have too much on my plate. And then we get overwhelmed and don't actually do them. And we want to make sure that we feel motivated and inspired to take action by these goals. That is the whole purpose of a goal, is to help you to feel motivated and inspired to take action. So if you set a goal and it's not inspiring to you at all, and you're like, "Mm, I don't actually really want to do that," then you're probably not going to do it. You're going to find all kinds of reasons not to do it. So make sure you feel motivated and inspired to take action by these goals. All right. And then when you're setting these goals, when you're choosing which goals to focus on, I encourage you to go back to your notes from day 1 and day 2 in terms of checking in with where you're at. And remember, in day 1, we talked about the wellness wheel and all of the different areas of our lives. And so I would check in with those different areas in terms of like, where do I want to spend my focus for this year? What feels the most important? What feels the most achievable? And also, just I think what's so important, I'm probably going to say this about 20 times today, don't try to change everything at once. I think so often we get so excited and we're like, we have this vision and we just want to go and we just want to change it all, especially as high achievers. We're like, I can do it all. But again, whenever we start to dilute our focus, whenever we try to do too many things at once, it's just like multitasking, right? Like you can't actually truly multitask. You really need to focus. We need to focus on one thing at a time. So just don't try to change everything at once. You will be able to change all of it if you focus on one thing at a time to change, or a couple of things at a time to change. And also know that you can always iterate. So I think sometimes whenever we have to make decisions, and here's a decision point, right? Choosing what goals we're going to set for this year. Sometimes we think that, like, oh my gosh, if I choose this, then I'm stuck with it forever and I can't change it. And that's just not true. We can always iterate. If life, things in life happen, or if things at work change, then of course we can iterate on our goals. You're not like, you don't use it against yourself. We're supposed to be using these for ourselves and for our own good. So I want to share what my goals are for this year because I go through this process every year, and I spend a lot of time figuring out like what are my goals. And honestly, since I am kind of checking in regularly, usually by the beginning of a new year, I'm pretty clear on what I want my goals to be. It doesn't take like a huge exercise for me to do. It's just kind of part of my ongoing process because I've been thinking about, what do I want to do? And I also want to say I don't just set goals once a year, and I don't think that you need to either. I actually set a goal for myself, a health and fitness goal I set back in August for myself. And so that one is August to August. So it doesn't have to like be perfectly aligned with January. But for our purposes today, that's what we're doing. So I will share my three goals for 2025. I have a revenue goal for my business. So I have been building my business now, helping executive moms and women for the last 2 years, and it's been going amazingly. And I've been able to work with some of the most amazing and inspiring women, and I've loved every second of it. And also, I have been doing that while my daughter was in preschool, and now she's in kindergarten. And so, my goal is really, and my vision for my business is to scale my business with my daughter as she spends more time at school. I spend more time at work. And so, for this year, I have a very specific milestone revenue goal. And that is, and of course, I have my business plan to create that. So that's one of my goals. My second goal is to complete a triathlon. I haven't completed a triathlon since 2018, since before I got pregnant with my daughter. And it's something that I really enjoy doing. I also had surgery 2 years ago. So this will be my first one back from that as well. So I have been working with a personal trainer for the last couple of months, and just kind of get my body ready for this. And I'm really excited to be doing a triathlon. So I have one on the calendar in July, and I'll be doing a triathlon. So if you follow me on social media, you'll see me. You'll see me in my kit, on my bike and in the water and running. And then my third one is that while I go for these goals, while I do the work to get there, I want to maintain a healthy balance. I want to make sure that I continue focusing on my daughter, continue focusing on my family, and not do these things at the expense of them. And that's really important to me. And so I made that one of my top goals for this year. So those are my three. And I'm sharing that only because I think it's helpful to hear other people's goals. Whenever I do, goal workshops, it's always helpful, kind of gives you some inspiration. So maybe that gives you some ideas. But you'll notice that I chose to focus on occupational and as well as family. So I picked one work goal, one work goal, one fitness, health and fitness goal, and then the third one kind of being in the middle of the wellness wheel, being that balance. So then you're going to create your plan. And this process is going to look differently for everybody. I am not going to prescribe a specific way to do this because listen, if you live in Gantt charts all day and you are a project manager for a living, then make a Gantt chart. If you love your Trello boards, then create a Trello board for each goal or Asana or however you like to do it. There's not a right or a wrong way to do this. The only right way is the way that works best for you and that supports you the best. For me, I know about myself that Gantt charts are like not my thing. And if I spend a ton of time planning all of the steps and all of the details and all of the scenarios, if I spend tons of time and energy in that, then I end up not executing. I end up not saving energy to execute. I get so excited about the plan, and it's like Well, that was enough for me. I just spent all that time and energy doing that. And I don't always end up executing it, or I start it and I don't finish it. And so for me, I have learned that my process works better to kind of have a North Star, something to be working toward, and to make decisions based on that. So it's whatever is right for you. And also to make some plans. So, for my triathlon, of course, I have a training plan to lead me to success for that. And for my revenue goal, I have a business plan to lead me to success for that. And I also have a system, a calendaring system to make sure that I plan my time accordingly to make sure that I allow for family time and don't let work overrun family time as I have had a tendency to do in the past. So, what factors impact the probability of change in humans? I want to talk about this because I think this is really important. And I think that it's a helpful self awareness tool to figure out what are the factors that will either create the change for me, like that I will actually make the change, or that I might not. Okay. And there are three factors. Dissatisfaction with the current situation is one, a compelling vision that you're committed to, and a clear, doable first step. So, those are the three factors that really factor into whether someone's going to make a change or not. So, in coaching, we have a formula where we can actually work through and figure out what is the probability that this client is going to make this change that they're saying that they want. And for some people, the dissatisfaction with the current situation has to be really, really high in order to make a change. For some people, it doesn't at all. It might just be, maybe I want to make a change in what we're eating for dinner every night because I'm tired of eating the same things. It's not that I'm like dissatisfied with it. I like what we're eating, but I want to make a change, right? I want something different. So it doesn't have to be for everybody, and for every situation, of course, it's different. Uh, for some people, that vision needs to be very, very clear and specific and more like detailed. And for some people, it can just be a big picture vision. So I think it's just helpful for you to recognize, to go through and kind of check in with yourself as you have made changes in the past, as you have desired change and not made changes. When you look at these different components, what was present, what wasn't present? And kind of, I like to do kind of a scale of 0 to 10 on each one of them. So if we look at how likely is it that I'm going to make this change? How likely is it that I'm going to achieve these goals in 2025? I need to take a look at, where I rank on these different things, these different factors. And today, what we're really focusing on is that clear, doable first step. So I said before, if you want to map out the whole process, you totally can do that. If that feels overwhelming to you, or if that is something that you found doesn't work for you, like I have found for myself, then what I would invite you to do is focus on a clear first step. And I'm going to invite Anna to the party. Anyone with young children may have watched Frozen 2 800 million times, like I have. And one of the things that Anna says in there, I think it's pretty profound, and I love that they're teaching young children this, is to do the next right thing. That I might not know the whole plan. I might not be able to, go all the way into the future. But what I need to do is focus on what's right in front of me and do the next right thing again and again and again and again. I do the next right thing and then I find out, and then something else presents and I need to do the next right thing after that. And what if we don't know what the next right thing is? Well, just remember that I don't know is usually your survival brain trying to confuse you so you don't make a change. So anytime you say, what should I do? What change should I make? What should my goals be for this year? It is totally normal if your brain says, I don't know. And it is totally up to you if you want to accept that as the answer or if you want to push further. If you had an employee at work and you were, trying to get a project done and you asked them to do something and they would say, I don't know how to do this, would you just say, oh, okay, well, we won't get the project done? Or would you challenge them and say, okay, well, if you don't know how to do it, how are we going to figure this out? If you were to take a guess at how to do it, what would that be? Right. So I think oftentimes we need to manage our minds around this whenever our brains try to put us into confusion or tell us, I don't know. I don't know what my goal should be. I don't know what the right next step is. I don't know what the steps are to get there. It's usually just our brain trying to keep us in that cave, trying to keep us safe. So if you were to guess, what would the answer be? All right, I'm going to share some do's and don'ts real quick. And I'm going to go into this a little bit more tomorrow to kind of help set you up for success. So, first of all, do not try to change everything at once. Trying to change everything at once ends up, it ends up taking longer and you won't always get everything done and it'll feel overwhelming. Do not expect yourself to suddenly become a whole different person over at night. While it's important to think about who you are becoming, you can't expect yourself to completely change all of a sudden. So, notice in your plan if you are expecting yourself to be a totally different person than you've ever been, and maybe just like ease into it a little bit. Do not beat yourself up when you get off track. We'll talk a lot more about this tomorrow, but I almost wrote if you get off track. And then I realized, no, it's when. We are human. We expect linear paths. And the reality is that part of the process often is that we fall off the wagon, we get back on track. We fall off the wagon, we get ourselves back on track. And we have the opportunity to bring curiosity in so we can learn what was it that got me off track? And what did I need to get back on track? So that way, we can learn something and maybe get back on track more quickly next time it happens because it will. Do not expect perfection and quit if not. I think we have a lot of kind of all or nothing thinking, like we have to go all the way in or we're out. And if we do that, then what's going to happen is as soon as we miss a day, as soon as, something doesn't go right for us, then we're going to quit. And that's just not the recipe to success for getting us to where we want to be. And do not discount small steps and little progress because I think Bill Gates said most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. If by the end of 2025, you are 5% closer to your vision for your life, if you make one part of your vision a reality by the end of the year, that's amazing. You should be so proud of yourself. That is progress. And we like to discount progress that doesn't feel big enough. But what often happens is we only give ourselves credit for the big things, but it's actually the little things over and over and over again are what it's going to take to actually make change. Do celebrate teeny tiny minuscule wins. If you notice that you are spending too much time in your phone and you decide that that's one of your goals for the years, you don't want to, you want to spend less time on your phone, then celebrate every time you don't pick up your phone and scroll and instead you work on your goal or you sit in stillness and think about your vision and reconnect with it. If your goal is around something like showing up better as a partner or as a parent, then celebrate every time you take a breath before you respond. If it's a fitness goal, celebrate every time your brain tries to tell you, we don't need to go to the gym today. Celebrate every time that you say, yeah, well, that's cool. I'm going to go anyway. And then celebrate the times when your brain doesn't offer that because you are just in the habit and in the muscle memory. Do take small, simple, aligned actions. Sometimes, honestly, the smaller the better because you're more likely to do them. Focus on consistency over intensity and perfection. Again, it does not need to be this big, grandiose thing. Focus on doing things over and over and over again. Do revisit your vision and goals regularly. I talked about how I read my vision statement every morning to keep me in that mindset. So I almost said daily, but I don't want you to think it has to be daily and then if you miss a day, you quit. Just go back to it regularly and check in and say, is what I'm doing today helping me to get there? And then do use your vision, goals, and priorities to guide your decision making and action. So, whenever you have an opportunity to make a decision, when a decision presents itself, and a decision could be, do I get out of bed or hit snooze for 5 more minutes? It could be very, very simple. Do I eat this thing or eat this other thing, right? These little decisions all throughout the day, we can always go back to our goals and our vision and what is going to help get me closer to my goal? What is going to help move me into that vision? So ask yourself daily, what is one thing I will do today to move me closer to my vision and goals? All right. And just a reminder, I am happy to talk through this with you. I would love to talk through this with you in a 1 hour 2025 vision call. And this tomorrow is our last day. I cannot believe it. This week flew by. If you are here with me, here is the registration link for tomorrow. QR code up in the corner there. I have maxed out my invites for the week. So I know many of you have said you appreciate getting the invites, and I would love to send you more, but LinkedIn said no more. So please sign up for tomorrow, and I hope to see you there. We're going to talk about how you can make sure to support yourself to achieve your goals and make sure that you stay on track. And whenever you get off track, how to bring yourself back to it. Okay, so we've got lots more to talk about tomorrow. And I hope to see you there at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on LinkedIn, Facebook, and um, and YouTube. And also check out my podcast if you want to re-listen to this while you're driving or out for a walk or anything like that. It's also available on my podcast, as well as many other amazing, inspiring episodes to help support you in your practice. So thank you all so much for joining me today, for creating your plan. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.